Simplify the following. To evaluate or simplify powers, the following exponent laws can be used. First, the product law. Two powers with the same base that are multiplied, you can evaluate them by simply adding the exponents. X to the a times x to the b equals x to the a plus b. Similarly, for the quotient law, two powers that are divided, you subtract the exponents. X to the a over x to the b equals x to the a minus b. Next, the power law. One power that is raised to an additional exponent, you have to multiply those exponents. X to the a raised to the b equals x to the a times b. For two expressions inside a set of brackets raised to the same exponent, we can separate those expressions. X times y to the a then equals x to the a times y to the a. Similar for division, x over y to the a can be separated to x to the a over y to the a. Finally, if there is a negative in the exponent, take the reciprocal and remove the negative. X to the negative a equals 1 over x to the a. For the first question, 2x cubed raised to the 2. Note that both the 2 and the x cubed have to be squared. This gives us 2 squared, which is 4, and x cubed squared, which, using the power law, gives x to the 6. Notice we had to multiply 3 times 2. For the next question, a to the 4 times a to the 7 gives us a to the 11. Note we're first using the product law here. We can then use the quotient law and divide a to the 11 by a to the negative 5 by subtracting the exponents. A to the 11 minus negative 5. This gives a result of a to the 16. For the next question, again, we're going to use the product law first. 4 to the 35 times 4 to the negative 18, we have to add 35 plus negative 18, giving us 4 to the 17. We can then use the quotient law. 4 to the 17 divided by 4 to the 10, we subtract 17 minus 10. This gives us 4 to the 7, all raised to the negative 2. We can then use the power law. 4 to the 7 raised to the negative 2, we have to multiply the exponents 7 times negative 2. This gives 4 to the negative 14. However, we do not want to have a negative in the exponent, so we write it as the reciprocal. 1 over 4 to the 14. For the next question, everything inside the brackets has to be raised to the power of negative 3. 5 over 3 to the negative 3 times x squared to the negative 3 times y to the negative 3 to the negative 3 times z to the 4th to the negative 3. For the 5 over 3 to the negative 3, we can remove the negative from the exponent and take the reciprocal of 5 over 3. We then have 3/5 raised to the 3. For the remainder, we can use the power law and multiply the exponents. We have x raised to the 2 times negative 3, which is x to the negative 6, y to the 9, negative 3 times negative 3, and z to the negative 12, 4 times negative 3. Our final result then, we have 3 cubed giving us 27, and 5 cubed on the denominator giving us 125. The y to the 9 stays on top. Note that the x to the 6 and the z to the 12 move to the denominator because they had a negative in the exponent. For the next question, in this case, we have to do all the calculations we can do inside the brackets first, and then raise everything to the negative 3. 12 divided by negative 4 gives us the negative 3. We can then use the quotient law for the a and the b. A to the negative 2 divided by a to the 3, we have to go negative 2 minus 3. This gives a to the negative 5. And for the b, negative 1 minus negative 2 gives positive 1, or just simply b. We then raise everything inside the brackets to the negative 3. Negative 3 to the negative 3, a to the negative 5 to the negative 3, and b to the negative 3. Negative 3 raised to the negative 3, we can remove the negative from the exponent and change the negative 3 to negative 1/3, the reciprocal. For the a to the negative 5 raised to the negative 3, we simply use the power law. Multiply negative 5 times negative 3, giving us a to the 15. And then we also have the b to the negative 3. For our final answer, the a to the 15 stays on the top of the fraction. Note that the b cubed on the bottom is because the b had a negative exponent. Also, the 27 on the denominator comes from taking negative 1/3 and cubing it, giving us negative 1 over 27. For the last question, everything within the brackets on both the numerator and denominator must be raised to the exponent outside. This means that we have negative, and then 3 raised to the negative 2, s to the negative 3 raised to the negative 2, and t squared raised to the negative 2. On the denominator, we have negative 4 squared, s squared, and t squared. Next, the negative on the top can stay there, but the 3 raised to the negative 2, we can remove that negative exponent and put the 3 squared on the denominator. The s to the negative 3 raised to the negative 2 and the t squared raised to the negative 2, we use the power law to simplify these, multiplying the exponents, giving us s to the 6 and t to the negative 4. We can then square the 3 squared and the negative 4 squared, giving us 9 and 16. And we can use the quotient law for the s and the t. Here we have s to the 6 divided by s squared. That gives s to the 4 by subtracting the exponents. And t to the negative 4 divided by t squared, negative 4 minus 2 gives negative 6. That gives t to the negative 6. We then multiply the 9 times 16, giving 144. And we can also remove the negative exponent from the t and move t to the positive 6 on the denominator. This gives our final result, negative s to the 4 over 144 t to the 6.